Camilleri, and welcome to episode 9 of Gaming Against the Grain. This is a Warhammer 40k podcast which tries to make uncompetitive and unconventional armies work. We're doing something a bit different on today's episode, and I'm down the coast in Ocean Grove in Victoria with the entire Hive City Hobby team, and we're playing our kind of annual Apoc game against each other, 20,000 points versus 20,000 points. And today I'm going to be doing a bit of interviewing with each member, just to give you guys bit of insight into our group, you know, who does what, who likes what, and what we're bringing to the table. I'll be putting questions to them about their hobby, what they like or dislike about the game at the moment, and what they're working on, and just some general stuff about them. So right now sitting with me, I have Adam Drapetsky, also known as Golden. Hey Golden.
G'day, hiya.
And we've got Rusty the Rust Stalker with us as well.
Hello people.
So how you doing, guys? How you liking the weekend?
Oh, that's good, mate. It's always good to get away with the gaming group for the weekend.
Yeah,
it always involves lots of dice, lots of banter, laughing, bit of footy, plenty of beer, and junk food.
Maybe a little too much.
Yeah, possibly.
Now, we've already wrapped up the Apoc game. So we...
It was quick, wasn't it?
It was quick. 8th edition, man. It goes quick. Like, it swings one way or another, swings back another way, and then it swings one way and stays.
Quick a different way, though.
How so? What, you know?
It literally wasn't like quick as in it went quick. Well, it did go time quick, but we could have kept going, but there was just no point to it.
Yeah, fair enough.
Well, that's the thing I find in any 8th edition game, no matter the size. It's like, if you clip the wings off your opponent in the early game, there's like no way to kind of scrape it back.
And that was so true in the first like kind of 3 months of the whole game when it first came out.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, did you go first? Oh, well, I'm fucked. There was so much of that around.
Completely.
So, some questions for you boys. Golden, how long have you been doing this hobby?
Probably too long, if you ask me.
And how many years have you been on this earth?
I think it's my 15th or 16th year.
And you're only 26.
Doing the hobby, yeah.
26 years old.
Yeah.
You know?
So more than half my life doing the hobby. Oh, boy. I wouldn't have it any other way, to be honest.
Now, if you guys don't know, Golden's like, the celebrity... We don't have celebrity chefs, we have celebrity painters in 40k, and Golden's quite an accomplished painter.
Golden Demon.
Yeah, that's why we call him Golden. Now, Russ, how long have you been in the hobby?
Mate, I'm the baby of the group. Yeah? I've been here for, just over 2 years?
2 years.
Come a long way in 2 years, though. In
those 2 years, what armies have you been playing?
Actually 3 years. 3 years.
Yeah.
Since 2006. No, 2
So your third years now.
I'm in my third year. Yeah.
So yeah, what are you playing at the moment?
Thousand Suns and Tyranids, really?
How's it going for you? Like, I know Nids are looking pretty sexy at the moment, so much to do, but what about T-Suns?
They're interesting. They're I mean, just, you know, story, background, fluff wise, they are just the best for me. I mean, if you go to 30k, I'm a big fan of Everest Children, but 40k, it's definitely the Thousand Suns. Just, I like everything about them.
And that's something you two have in common, because Golden's quite a Thousand Suns buff as well.
Well, my first proper 40k army was Thousand Suns in 3rd edition.
That's mad.
I had a Sorcerer Lord, a couple of units of Rubric Marines. I had some Horrors of Zench, Flamers of Zench.
Fuck yeah.
Dreadnought and Defiler wasn't out by that time. I think it was a Dreadnought and maybe a Predator or something like that, and that was it. That was
It's so funny. That used to be a fully fleshed out, like, scary-ish army.
Well, yeah.
You had one Dread, one Pred, a couple of Flamers.
Yeah. And now it's just like, whatever. But, Thousand Suns hold a special place in my heart.
Well, that leads us on to the next question. What's your favourite character or fluff?
It's going to sound cheesy now that I've said Thousand Suns, but I think the best written character is Ahriman. And I think the reason for that is because you as the reader can kind of empathise with Ahriman's decision making, especially through the Heresy. I think so. What makes the Horus Heresy series really good is the fact that it incorporates human characters into the story too, and obviously, you as the reader can relate more to the human characters than what you can like the non-human characters or like the superhuman characters. But I think Araman's decision making and in like integrity and personality relates the most with how you and I might react to a similar sort of situation. So honestly, I think Araman, even though he's got like a tragic storyline, it's one that a reader can probably relate to the most.
Well, I've always found he's written with a lot of humanity in him, and his choices.
Correct.
He's
very humane.
Yeah. His choices are not. Well, then they're not relatable in his choices. Oh, do I decide whether my race and species and my legion lives or dies? But I mean, I think everybody in their lives had a point of conflict where I decided, do I compromise what I believe in to do this something, do the best for something?
Correct. Do I compromise my values?
Yeah, to protect something or someone or
exactly.
Yeah. And so that's always relatable. All right, Rusty, same question. What's your favorite piece of fluff or favorite character?
This is going to get boring, so I'm not going to say Araman. I'm going to say Fulgrim because of.
He's a handsome man. You're a handsome man. We get it.
There's a lot of relatable things with me and him.
He likes stalking. You like stalking.
Yeah. We both like art. I mean, his may be a little more made of excrement.
Flesh.
No, well, I mean, he was the first character I got really, really into, and I just really enjoyed in that book Fulgrim, where he went from this dude that was like really involved with his brothers. It was like they were all his best mates. Yeah, you know, he had a few favorites.
Idolized in a way.
Yeah, like Horace, he idolized the guy.
Yeah.
You know, to the slow progression of becoming an absolute psychopath.
Yeah.
He's like mental decay.
Yeah, his mental decay. You can actually read it. It wasn't a snap.
Yeah, it's like a slide. He just like slid down.
And I found it
spiraling down into this fucking deep, dark place.
I found it a very enjoyable read, all the way to Angel Exterminatus, where he comes across kind of like the Joker, where he's just behind the scenes, always lying, manipulating, shifting pieces into place.
And Perturabo crushes his skull with his hammer.
Which was one
Forgebreaker.
Which was one of the pieces he wanted in place.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Doesn't he trick Perturabo into becoming a demon prince at some point?
Well, yeah. So that basically that action of Perturabo killing him sends him into the demon.
Yeah. That was awesome.
Yeah, and that's it. If Araman is not a choice, it's him.
Nice.
Yep.
All right, Rusty. I'll start with you first again. What kind of gamer are you? Like, if you were to describe what kind of a hobbyist you are and what you get out of this, what do you look to get out of it, and what kind of gamer are you? What kind of hobbyist?
I am very competitive.
Yeah.
But I have my limits to what I would do.
What do you call your limits? Give us an example.
I can't stand soup.
Yeah. Fair enough.
I want to get there with my army. I want to pick an army and go, this is the army I play, and I want to get that as far as I can.
So you want to do it on your terms.
I want to do it on my terms.
Ultra competitive, but you want to do it hitting your criteria.
Yeah, exactly.
Man,
I think the three of us have that in common, and it's a good goal to have for any player out there. I think because it really encourages you to push the envelope on what's available to you and your choices.
Yeah.
And I think imposing restrictions on yourself. Whether they be fluff or theme restrictions or composition restrictions, really extends you as a gamer because by implicating yourself with these restrictions, it makes you kind of think outside the square.
Well, you get unconventional. You start thinking about the things that will. This army is good in this, and this. Now, I'm not willing to compromise and get that thing that's a straight up counter, but how can I get something that mitigates this downfall rather than eliminating it? And then so you always, it's like, it's not quite working with a handicap, but it's working towards a goal without like having every tool available to you. So you're trying to find the right socket wrench for it.
You basically, well, yeah. And it's like you've got, you're trying to squeeze the maximum amount of juice you can out of like, this one fucking orange without going to the rest of the fruit bar.
So, but clearly, I have the choices to go, like Thousand Suns, for example. I have the choices just to go, let me just take this broken demon list alongside my Thousand Suns. But I don't want to do that because I'm not doing it with my Thousand Suns.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. I think we already covered that already for Gold, and he's pretty much described what he's at. But I want to start with you with this one, Gold. What do you like about 8th edition?
Oh shit!
It's gonna be hard for you.
What do I like about 8th edition? If you were to pose a question in like a negative way, I could talk all day about what I don't like about 8th edition. But I guess what I like about 8th edition is nothing to do with the game itself. It's probably more to do with the community.
Yeah.
And about how enthusiastic everyone is getting about Warhammer 40k again. Which, as a tournament organizer, and as you know, Adam, because we organise the same tournament, it's really rewarding to see people have such a fucking good time playing this wacky, silly game that we all decide to play. I think that because everyone's enthusiastic about the hobby, it's bringing new life, and it's injecting this notion of people feeling unrestricted in deciding to play the army that they really want to play.
Yeah.
I mean, 8th edition was kind of like a dead end street where it became a little bit of an arms race.
Oh, you mean 7th edition?
The end. Oh, sorry, 7th edition.
Yeah.
Sorry, became a little bit of an arms race. It was a dead end street where people really felt limited in their options, but I mean, myself personally, I don't think that was the case with 7th edition. I think there was a lot of depth in 7th edition that's not in 8th edition now, that people could have really leveraged on in 7th, but people just weren't thinking outside of the square.
They got distracted with the arms race.
Correct. They got distracted with the arms race. Whereas now everyone's kind of on this even sort of keel. Although there's power creep out there and there's lots of issues to address in 8th edition, the overall, in quotation marks, happiness of all the gamers would be a lot higher than what it was 18 months ago.
And I think the general consensus is that the game is growing. Like it's growing, it's getting bigger, there's more players, people are coming back to the game.
Yeah.
And that can never be a bad thing.
Yeah.
Russ, same question. What do you like about 8th?
What do I like about it?
What do you like about it?
Well, I can't say what I like about it compared to 7th, because there are not many things I say that I can like about it compared to 7th.
Okay.
But what do I like about it?
It's so different.
Yeah,
it's so different.
You can't do a straight comparison.
So what I like about it, it's exactly the same thing as Golden said. It is bringing more life to the game. And also, it's bringing more life to Games Workshop itself. They're pumping out more armies. They're pumping out more. They're doing a lot more work. I mean,
I think that their content strategy and their release schedule reflects the enthusiasm of the community, which is good at the moment. I mean, probably 6 months from now we'll kind of see that peeled back in a way, and we will go back to that more sort of dragged out constant.
Well,
releases.
It can't continue like this. Surely we can't keep going like this.
Look,
it's going at 12 fucking parsecs at the moment. Like, it's so
it's going
quick.
At 12 out of 10, man.
The way the game feels to me is a bit like a beta test. It's like we're the beta testers right now. But it's okay. Some of the things I do like about the game is the multi-damage thing's good. I do like diminishing armor saves.
Yeah.
I do like diminishing vehicles and monsters, but there are two whole phases in this game I do not like.
Which are?
The morale phase and a lack of initiative in the combat phase, especially with large armies.
Yeah. You can definitely get bogged down or just overwhelmed very easily with large armies these days.
It's not an issue with small armies, but when you get nids on the table, there's a combat army.
The problem is where are the small armies at? Like who's running the small armies?
Yeah.
What, you mean the elite armies?
Yeah, the elite armies. I mean, pre-custodes. Now that we've got custodes, things are looking a lot better for the smaller armies.
Do you know what they are? But they're not at the same time, because as good as custodes look, I think they're still going to be underrepresented unless someone decides to bring a Supreme Command detachment with 3
Dawn
shield
Eagle
captains
Shepherds,
on bike,
yeah.
Custodes aren't going to be represented. They're not. They're just not.
Yeah.
When we talk about this stuff, we are talking about the competitive scene.
We are, of course.
You can tarnish the same brush with Deathwing.
Yep.
Even just regular Space Marines or Chaos Space Marines, for that matter, their survivability, like the defensibility and damage output, is just non-existent compared to the other builds that are out there.
I had a funny joke the other day when I realised if you shoot a Strength 4 -1 weapon at a Terminator, it's exactly the same profile as a Primaris Marine.
Yeah,
it's a 3+ armor with two wings, exactly the same profile. So what do you get for those extra 12 points that you pay for that Terminator?
If you see Cataphractii armor, you get 2 less movement.
Yeah.
A 4+ invulnerable save, which really
doesn't
matter.
You're not going to take anyway against that profile weapon.
Correct.
So yeah, it's just very interesting.
And you're slower in nearly every case.
But the one thing I really like about 8th edition is that armies look like armies again.
I disagree.
I really like that.
I stood across the table from like an army filled as 1 unit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there is still that, but I think that is far, far, far less than it was last edition. I mean, last edition there was only 2 top tier armies that actually looked like armies, and that was Battle Company and War Convocation. Apart from that, every other army looked like a bunch of Riptides, monsters, as many monsters you can fit in.
Okay. So this is my gripe with 7th Ed as it was. The rules of the actual edition were really good. Mm-hmm. The army selection was fucked.
It was fucked.
The Codexes are what, Rick? 7th?
Yeah, the Codexes. The rulebook's fine.
100%.
The rulebook was fine.
The formations, the formations and the army selection got so out of hand, it undermined the actual rule system.
Well, you know those 2 FAQs they released on the base rules towards the end, the last 3 months? They fixed just about every problem there was in that actual rulebook.
Yeah.
It would have taken them a year to fix all the problems with the formations and things, to try and balance them out.
I think what that was a toe in the water scenario for the Games Workshop community team.
It was them to
develop their responsiveness to
to
how they would treat the edition coming.
When they knew there was going to be so much input and so much interplay between.
Yeah.
So that pretty much wraps up all the questions I had for you guys. Like, is there anything you guys wanted to chat about? Anything you guys want to let the people know about you?
Really. We can talk all day. Like we can literally talk all fucking day,
and we do,
about Warhammer.
Yeah.
And we can go off on a million detailed tangents.
And mind you, we already have been. I mean, this is just the end of the day now.
This weekend, what have we done this weekend?
Yeah, well, that's right. We're a dozen beers in, and
Tell us about your recent commission. I know we've got a video coming out soon. But there's a certain model you painted recently.
A Warlord Titan.
Yeah, you painted a motherfucking Warlord Titan.
Yeah. I have to say it was unlike any other kit I've ever painted. Props to Forge World for making such a fucking phenomenal kit, because I mean, I've put together some large kits before. I've converted a Forge World Thunderhawk. I've scratch built components for it and all that sort of stuff. But building and painting a Warlord Titan was a whole 3 levels above doing a Thunderhawk.
And for those of you who don't know, this thing's the size of a toddler.
It is.
It's huge. It's huge. And by the time it went together and on its base, it was over 9 kilos.
Crazy
in weight.
Crazy.
I pinned nearly every joint. Look, I think the building of it was a lot more challenging than the painting side. I found the painting quite enjoyable, even though it was challenging in itself, because it's the scale, it's the overall scale.
Well, those flat panels, all those big flat panels, if you don't have that finish right on them, they're just like dog shit. But if you do it well, they're gorgeous.
Yeah. And it was an experience in itself, and I feel utterly privileged to even be able to paint the kit.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because it's so out of this world, and if someone ever has the chance to see a Warlord Titan in the flesh and appreciate the model for what it is, you get this feeling of like, wow, like that is a phenomenal piece of kit.
Well, I remember we were at Golden's place and we were doing some hobby, and he called me in to look at his Warlord, and it was like an event. It was a momentous occasion. It was something special, unique, like to see one of these painted to such a high standard, just fucking sitting there like a small child, and like, fuck me, this is amazing.
It's kind of reminiscent of like how they are in the fluff, like these big rare war machines that you only come across every so often.
Well, when you're looking at it, you
and
know
and when the characters in the story see a warlord, they're like, holy shit. And that's kind of representative of what it is in real life.
It's hard to comprehend what this thing actually looks like until you see one painted in person.
It's the volume.
Yeah.
And as I said, like you can look at the silhouette of a Warlord Titan compared to, let's say, a Reaver, and the Warlord really doesn't seem that much larger, but it's the volume of the kit that makes the presence of it absolutely fucking huge.
It's so much more impressive.
Yeah.
What's your favourite model?
My favourite model?
What's your favourite model?
Jeebus. Fuck.
If you can't do your favourite model, what's the most favourite thing you've painted or put together? Or
what's your hobby highlight?
Yeah, what's your hobby highlight, mate?
Well, fuck, my hobby highlight's only a Mauler feed, but I think my favourite model is
only a Mauler feed, dies every game.
But, yeah, I think it might actually be Magnus, which is hilarious, because when I first saw the model, I said, what is that shit?
Yeah, you didn't like it that much when you first
saw it.
Yeah, has it grown on you? What do you think about it now?
Now I've got it in my hands. I'm disappointed he's no longer a competitive choice.
Yeah. Well, he's not a shit choice, but he's not the top tier beast.
He's not a tournament. He's not a tournament player anymore.
Well, I think I like that about Primarchs, though.
I think I do too.
I don't want Primarchs to be like that no-brainer choice, like auto included into your army. I think a Primarch should be like a deliberation you should have when you're writing your army list, saying, do I really want to invest these points into paying for the Sire of the Legion when I could have option A, B, and C instead?
As well. Yeah. Sorry.
To add to my synergies. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Even though a Primarch's a synergy in itself, there's other things that you can do. And depending on your meta or how you like to play with your friends, you might not want to take a Primarch as a favourable option.
Well, I like the fact that I like actually where the Primarchs are right now. Gilliman's probably still on. Well, unfortunately, because of where Space Marines are, Gilliman is always going to be a good choice because
here's the thing.
So much that they don't have.
Here's the thing. At the moment where we stand, it is now the middle of April, and Space Marines are suffering
very, very badly. I mean, if you're not using Gilliman and Fire Raptors, what have you got? What have you got?
Scouts.
What have you got that's competitive?
It's like, well, any Space Marine army really doesn't feature any Space Marines in it.
No TAC Marines. No.
Yep, and any competitive Chaos Space Marines army doesn't have any actual Chaos Space Marines in it.
Like actually zero. Maybe some Havocs if you're fluffy, or some Noise Marines,
which are like.
But they're still not.
Which are cult troops. And then you have like cultists.
Yeah, cultists.
Why should the cultists be doing the heavy lifting when the cultists are actually a themey choice for cannon fodder?
They're the meat.
Do you know what I mean?
They're the fucking meat shield.
Yeah.
Actually, to go back to the original question, it's a Dimacaron.
Fucking dim sim.
An absolutely useless thing in the game, but it looks mental.
It's gorgeous.
And I'm very happy with how I painted it.
So good looking.
It's been to one event and now it's tucked away.
Yeah, it's a bit of a pity they're a bit lackluster now.
Yeah.
Because what you get like bloody 2 Hive Tyrants for the same price, and the Hive Tyrants do so much more.
It doesn't do anything, but the one funny thing was when I put it on the table, the opponent would look over at it and go, holy shit, that's terrifying. And then when they would see it in action, they're like, oh man, why did I focus all my fire on this piece of shit?
Alright, boys.
It's like an oversized Ravener.
Yeah, that really, it is about that good.
I just call it the dim sim, man.
The dim sim. Yeah.
Alright, guys. Thanks so much for being on.
Thanks, Ads, for taking the time.
No problem.
No problemo.
Hope you had a good weekend. And look forward to the next fucking hobby retreat, man.
Absolutely.
Alright. I'll be back with the next 2, whoever they may be. Alright, and we're back. And joining us now is Pete, Belly, and Mitch Gibson. So guys, how's the weekend going? We've all just finished up playing the Apoc game, as I said before. How'd you guys like it?
It was alright. It was cool to see all the units on the table.
Yeah, that's spectacle.
Yeah, it was a pretty awesome sight, and I enjoyed the couple of turns that we played until it was just a winning condition for one side.
Yeah, foregone conclusion.
Yeah.
Exactly.
What did you guys all bring? Pete, what did you bring?
I bought 5,000 points of Armageddon Steel Legion.
What was your centerpiece model for that?
An Imperial Navy Marauder Destroyer.
Fucking sexy.
Yeah, which was awesome. Did really well. Took out a Tower Supremacy suit, which was pretty cool. And managed to jink a save from the Necron pylon. So,
yeah, he had a 6-up save from the pylon.
Yep.
Failed it. Fucking stone cold CP'd that shit.
And got a 6.
So funny.
Yeah, no, it did really well. So it was fun, and it was nice having 8 chimeras on the table, all loaded with troops. And it was good fun.
Yeah, nice. What ended up killing it?
The Marauder.
Yeah,
it didn't die.
Oh, really? Still there?
Yep.
No worries. Belly, what did you bring?
Yeah, so I brought along about 3,000 points of salamanders to the game, and so my job was to hold the flank of the field, and keep Nurgle at bay was my objective.
It was.
So I was sort of positioned across the table from Mitch. Who,
we just had our own little 40k game on the side.
pretty much. End of the table was just Sally's and Nurgle going at it at the end, while the rest of the table just fought out. But no, it was good. So
what was your highlight, if you got one?
Well, in the 2 turns that we did, it was good. Just move everything up. Had a couple of land rays on the table, so it's always good. Go in there, mince a few things with the flamers, and
redeemers,
yeah, 2 redeemers.
Sexy.
Those flamers,
fluffy
are
out
the
of
best. So yeah, that's the thing that I like about the army is all the flamers and melters and the aesthetics and so forth of the army.
Yeah, nice.
So yeah, I reckon that's probably the highlight. Again, to use those.
Cool, man. What about you, Mitch? What'd you play?
So, funny thing about the army I brought this week, I am collecting Death Guard at the moment, and I only have a couple of thousand points, but I had ordered a bunch more reinforcements, like stuff to add to my army that I was going to bring, kind of specifically for this apocalypse game. So I had the Forge World Mortarion, a couple of Medusas that I was going to use as the Plague Burst crawlers, and just a few more reinforcements. And so that was going to take out a big chunk of my army in terms of points, and then they didn't arrive until 2 days ago. I was expecting them to come a lot longer time ago, so I would have had time to build and paint them for this event. They didn't rock up, and so last week, literally Monday this week, so 6 days ago, I decided, well, I don't have enough points, I need to make it up. And I had bought a Noble Demon army off you, Camilla. Maybe 6 months to a year ago, and I had that sitting in my shelves, and I thought, oh fuck, I'll just take some of those out, paint them up in 3 or 4 days.
And man, you churned them out.
Really well.
So I smashed them, yeah. So I had the my favourite model is definitely the Forge World Great Unclean one, which
so good looking.
Which I ran in the game as the Scabby Thrax, the 777 point Forge World Demon.
Toughness 9, 20 some odd wounds.
Who, he caused a lot of damage in this game.
He ended up in against the pylon.
He pretty much took one down.
So, have you explained in the podcast what we've done in the Apoc game with the Necron pylon?
No, I was gonna do it after this section. Right. I was gonna do a section by myself where I explain the game and stuff.
Well, look forward to that.
Yeah. Fuck it now. I'll do it right now. So in our Apoc game, we had 20,000 points versus 20,000 points. We were replicating
24 to be exact.
24,000 points at each side, and we were replicating Cadia, the fight on Cadia at the end of last edition. So. Abaddon 13th Black Crusade. We had Abaddon, we had Creed, we had a big Cadian army, we had a big Chaos contingent with some Xenos, and we had these 4 big pylons across the center of the board. Each one was toughness 10 with 60 wounds, 3 plus armor, 5 plus
big Necron obelisks.
Yeah, massive. These are huge. Golden cast them himself out of plaster. They're really, really good.
Few good kilos each.
Yeah. You could club somebody with
it.
Rick.
And Scabathrax would charge into, because of course the primary objective for the Chaos was to kill the pylons and take him out. And they're essentially give or take about as hard to kill as a Titan each.
Yep.
What was it? 60 wounds.
60 wounds, toughness 10.
10.
And
upsave.
Scabathrax went in there, and I think he did about 40 out of 60 wounds to one of them himself. So he did
well.
Round 1, 18 wounds.
Did 18 wounds round 1. Crazy.
At that point, I'm like, oh, this is not going to
Yeah.
last very long.
I was feeling pretty confident when I was looking at the piles. I was thinking, oh yeah, that'll be fine. They'll be alright. But they go down hard when you're firing 24,000 points of firepower at them. You're like, oh, that's not so good.
Yeah, we had Tau, we had Supremacy Suit in there as well. It's pretty heinous. Alright, on to the questions, guys. Pete, how long have you been in the hobby?
So I got into the hobby when I was about 10 years old. I'm 32 now. I took a little bit of time out, as a lot of us do, find girls, leave the hobby, come back. Boobs are good. So yeah, pretty long time. I worked for GW for 5 years out of high school. It was my first job. So a pretty long time. I've been back in the hobby now for about 4 years, give or take. So yeah, it's been excellent.
Nice. What about you, Bell? How long have you been doing?
Yeah, well, I've got the same as Pete, I guess you could say. I sort of started when the Lord of the Rings came out. That was the big selling point, in the news agencies. They were selling all those little starter kits. The goblins, that's what first got me in, because I love all the fantasy, knights and shining armor, all that kind of stuff. And that got us into it, and then slowly progressed into 40k. So, when Lord of the Rings came out in 2001 or whatever it was, I think I was about 10 years old. So that's kind of when I started. Had a bit of a break, a few years after that, when you realise how much money is required for the hobby, and you're only 10 years old, and Mum gives you $5 for washing the car and won't buy very much. So gave a bit of a break, and then sort of come back probably about 4 years ago, I reckon. Yeah. And then the rest is history, I suppose.
Yeah. But you, Mitch, how long have you been in the hobby?
15 years.
15 years, that was quick. Bang, I like it.
That's it.
Never really took a break.
Next question.
So, what armies are you playing at the moment? You're just playing Death Guard, a bit of Nurgle Demons?
Nurgle Demons as of this week. But they kind of slot right in as kind of a good ally to the Death Guard. But yeah, primarily Death Guard at the moment. But I also do a lot of terrain hobby and just
Mitch has made a couple of custom boards recently, and they look fucking gorgeous. Really good work.
Garden and Nurgle is unreal.
Yeah. Bell, what do you play? And not just 40k. What do you play in Mordor and the Land of Oz?
Yeah. So starting with 40k. Got about 3,000 points of salaries there, painted up. It was a grind and a half to get that painted. And sort of working on a bit of a Custodes army at the moment, which since they came out, I figured I'd give them a go. And apart from that, got a fair bit of Lord of the Rings, Mordor, Gondor, all that sort of stuff. And never really got into fantasy as such, but they're really the main armies I've got, I reckon.
Cool, man. Pete?
I'm a huge Guard player, so I've got my Steel Legion, and I've got a winter-themed Cadian army, and always on the lookout for the next Guard army.
Yeah. Did you have Praetorians? Or?
I've got, about 2,000-3,000 points of Praetorians, Talan, Catachin.
Shit.
Destroyers?
No Destroyers. So yeah, I've a lot of the stuff's on the back burner at the moment, because after you've painted, as you well know, you paint a Horde Guard army and you just need a break for a little while before you do your next Horde Guard army.
I was talking to the guys before, but when I finished up with my Guard army, I really wanted to do Orcs. I really felt like doing Orcs, but I just felt like a drunk who'd been told to take another drink.
Yeah,
and I just grinded out I've got 10,700 points of Guard, and I've been painting them non-stop for about 2 years. Yeah. So the thought of doing another Horde army just had me fucking spinning. No,
just run away.
No, please no.
Run away.
I'll start with you again, Pete. What is your favourite character or piece of fluff? I think I know what this is, but
yeah. Well, I mean, I'm probably torn between either Yarrick, the
Old Man
Yarrick. The novel series is pretty good. Really fleshes the character out, and you sort of discover his origin story and that kind of thing. And the Armageddon section plays a pretty small part. But to be honest, it's probably Gaunt's Ghosts. That series is intense. I would challenge anyone to read all 12 books or whatever it is, and then not be just keen as mustard on guard.
Yeah, man.
It's so well written. The character development's unreal. It's a bit of a shame GW never really moved with the miniature line. They did, one unit and called it a day, which is a bit of a shame.
So in the story, is like a whole army.
It's a regiment of guardsmen, the Tanith First only.
Oh, that's right.
It's because they're soon after being conscripted, their planet gets destroyed.
They literally do. They lift off the planet with one regiment as the planet.
That's why they're the only.
Them. Yeah. So after 12 books, they go to so many different theaters of war, and they pick up other regiments and sort of bring them in and just continue to feed off it. It's really cool.
It's fantastic. Yeah. Belly, what's your favourite piece of fluff or character?
We're going to stick with the Salamander theme. I really do like. It's kind of from the 30k, but Primarch Vulcan. He's always been. I saw the model and the aesthetics, the detail. It just that's pretty much what got me into salamanders. Yeah, and the whole the aesthetics, the flamers, like all the lizard skins, all that sort of stuff that they've got.
All the blacksmithy, artisany, making their own stuff.
The artificer, the way they go about it, that they're fine craftsmen, that they're really meticulous with their work. It kind of like what I am with my work. I reckon that's the most the thing I like most about them. Is
one thing I always found was funny was that Vulcan's weapons are mastercrafted. The Primarch's fucking war gear isn't mastercrafted. Always found that funny. But is he bringing him in the army?
You mean in 8th?
No, it's 7th.
Yeah.
In Heros Heresy. Yeah, in Heresy, his stuff isn't mastercrafted.
It's just buffs he gives to the army. It's just
Oh, he's hitting on 2s anyway. Actually, no, he's not hitting on 2s. No one hits on 2s in Heresy. It's all 3s. Mitch, favourite fluff piece character?
I wasn't anticipating this question, so I don't really have a good answer. And I don't really know how to read, so I'm kind of a latecomer to the fluff. Even though I've always kind of been pretty invested in the overall lore. Reading like the novels, I've never really done. But recently, I've started listening to the audiobooks from the Horus Heresy series, and I just finished Fight of the Eisenstein. Garrow is pretty cool.
Garrow is fucking. He's just a good dude.
Yeah. Like great book too.
He's the kind of bloke. He's like your best mate. He'd have your back. Garrow would look after you if you're out on the piss. He'd hold your hair back while you chummed up. He would. He would. You know he would.
He'd call you.
Mitch, what kind of gamer are you?
A very casual gamer. I do the hobby for collecting and a creative output. The game is just kind of something cool to do with the models that I put a lot of time into. Definitely not competitive. The only reason I go to tournaments at all is just a fun weekend, getting to see other cool armies, my old cool army. I could not care less whether I win or lose a game, as long as it's fun. And I do enjoy the strategy and the sometimes the challenge of the particular mission and who my opponent is and what units I've got. And I try and do the best that I can. But if my opponent just beats me or I fuck up, I'm like, oh well, it doesn't really bother me. But I as long as I enjoy the process and that sort of thing. So very much a casual gamer.
Belly, same question. What kind of gamer or hobbyist are you?
Well, funnily enough, Mitch and I are pretty much very, very, very similar in the way we go about it. In that, very much about the fluff. I don't really take it super seriously. Like I do like playing games and getting that competitive edge. But I'm not like, as they say, whack and all that sort of stuff. I don't really care about all that sort of that mentality. I'm just there for the fun, hanging out with the boys, drinking beers, talking shit, and playing games, rolling dice, and then like the modelling sort of side of thing, the painting. It's a good, fun, creative outlet that you can see what you've done. You look back and see like a whole army painted up, and gives you pride. So hopefully
sense of accomplishment. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So hopefully it gives a bit of an insight.
All right, Pete. Lastly,
look, I describe myself as a hobbyist first, gamer second. That being said, I'm trying to sort of right the ship a little bit. So, like, I went to my first tournament last year, and then another one this year, and I've got another one coming up in June, July. So I'm trying to get more balance, I guess, into the hobby. So rather than just painting and modeling, getting more into gaming.
You're taking a step into the competitive scene.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I mean, I remember hearing a quote recently that was like, if all you ever do is paint these things, and don't paint toy soldiers, go and paint on a canvas. Like there is more to this hobby than just the painting aspect. And I'm really enjoying the gaming. I think what I love about the new edition changeover is that everyone got put back onto a baseline level, and so there wasn't that years and years of skills and tactics and things like that, because the game got reset completely.
Absolutely.
And so it's actually been really beneficial for me to be able to be like, oh great, I don't have this massive disadvantage of not having 5 years of the meta behind me.
Yeah, because that's exactly what 6 and 7 were. 6 and 7 were so similar.
Correct.
And we got like 4 or 5, 6 years out of them.
Yep.
That the people who were there at the start of the edition and were starting to play tournaments at the start had so many games under their belts by the end. It was it was a big learning curve for people first coming in, because you went there was virtually no one in the tournament scene who was a noob. If you walked in, you were walking in, everyone was a fucking veteran. Everybody was a veteran of the long wall.
Exactly, that's right.
But you're also a phenomenal painter, Pete. Like you're quite an avid painter.
Yeah. So I'm one half of a really small little bespoke miniature painting service in Melbourne called WYSIWYG Painting, and we commission painters primarily for 40k, but we'll also take on pretty much anything else. At the moment we're doing 2 different Tyranid armies.
Oh boy!
Apparently 2018 is the year of the bugs.
Oh boy! Yeah.
But that's been really interesting, and we'll have more to talk about that on the channel in the near future.
Fantastic. All right, last question, guys. What is something that you like and something you dislike about this edition? Jump in. Whoever wants to go for it.
I suppose I'll follow on what Pete just said, in that I sort of started in 7th ed. Coming back from my sort of hiatus away from the hobby. But it's really good just that the game got reset back to even ground, because 7th ed was just getting blown out of proportion every time they bring out something new. It's bigger and better than the last thing, and just how can you maximise it to just make this the list crazy and so forth. Whereas now it's been brought back to it's all semi around the same level. You do have little spikes of these guys are really good, those guys are a bit shit, but everything's pretty evenly based, and I'm actually really enjoying the play style and how you play the rule set of the game. The rule book's only like 6 pages long or whatever, so it's very easy, very very concise, straight to the point. There's no confusion about the rules, and no grey areas, because the book, like 7th ed rule book, was it was chunky.
Yeah, it's massive.
It was like 70 pages or whatever it was. So I think that's the thing that I like most about 8th at the moment. So it's simplicity, I reckon.
Is there anything you dislike about it?
Not straight off the top of my head, really. I suppose the only thing I don't like is, which has come up plenty of times, is the variable damage with certain weapons. Straight to mind. What's the first thing? I reckon some weapons, they should have variations in it, but they shouldn't have a laser cannon only do 1. It should be like a minimum of 3 wounds.
3 plus D3.
For a laser cannon, for the amount of points you pay. You pay 25 points for it. You want to get or even a minimum of 2 wounds off it. That's probably the only quibble I've got with it, But apart from that,
if you guys listen to my podcast, I'm always beating up any weapon that has 2 variable damages in it, like the variable the amount of shots and a variable the amount of damage it does. You just can't get behind it. Like you just can't be excited about it, because you're just like, one game you'll go, holy shit, this is amazing, and then the rest of the week you're like, wow, I should have fucking let this go.
It's like
back on the shelf.
The demon that Mitch brought, straight 6 damage every time.
It's
round 1, 18 damage. 18 damage round 1, because every turn it did 6 damage for every attack that got through, and you knew exactly what you were going to get for it.
That's right. Mitch, what do you dislike about the edition?
I have a long list of complaints.
Give us your top 2.
I don't know. I have weirds. I don't really have a top 2. I don't know, but I have a couple of weird little gripes. I kind of miss templates. Although I feel like maybe just in this recent APOC game that we just played, I feel like I miss templates. But maybe normal games I don't really miss them.
Whipping out that APOC template, just being like, here is my dinner plate.
Yeah, a serving tray.
yeah. A serving tray.
I was sick, and that's definitely kind of lacking. And characters joining units. I don't know. I just miss that. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. It's just something. It's just not the same.
Yeah. I mean, I know why they stopped that. They stopped that because their stars were fucking heinous. But I still like the idea. Maybe just making characters can only join troops units or something like that.
I reckon it's simple. One character to a unit.
Yeah, exactly.
Simple.
Exactly, yeah.
Because I agree, when you got to do a charge, you got to roll a charge for the unit, then you got to roll a charge for the character. Whereas you put a character into a unit because,
that character all us guys
where the fluffy, you put a character in there because it then complements the unit.
Yeah.
So that's why they got rid of it, because people were abusing the rule.
Absolutely.
Put in 5 characters in there and. Each one gives a buff to a buff to a buff to a buff, and then you got a super unit,
But briefly to answer your question as well, if the simplification of rules makes the game more accessible, then that is a positive.
A good thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Pete?
So I'll start off with a negative so that I can end on a good note.
You've already given us a good positive.
Yeah, true. So I think my negative at the moment would probably be it's a little hero hammer at the moment. There's a lot of armies that are sort of revolving around almost like a must-take character.
Yeah.
And then with your leftover points, you pop some stuff around.
Like your Vrain for your
and Guilliman's running around, and your Primaris guys always have someone with a reroll ones bubble. Like the game's very bubbly and aura sort of based, which I don't know, like. That's just a game mechanic, but I feel like it's very Age of Sigmar in the way that you have a hero with his little dudes, and it's less army with characters. It's the other way around.
Characters with army.
That's a really good point.
Yeah, so that's one thing that is a little bit strange. Also, you can kill Supreme Command Detachment and just get rid of it. It's
just
such a trash thing to have in the game. And a positive would be it's really interesting seeing a whole lot of units that were never on the table for the last 5 or 6 years suddenly come surging back as really interesting and dynamic. Like we were talking about this the other day, for the last 6 years, Shining Spears,
bag of dicks.
Hell?
Bag of dicks.
And now they're sold out on the web store.
And they've been sold out since their Codex came out.
What an insane thing. Biovores? Like, are you kidding
Biovores,
me?
man.
So I'm really liking that the new edition sort of shook that up a little bit, and that's great. So
then with the other guys, when they were up here with the same questions, I said I love the fact that armies look like armies again.
Yeah.
You got an army that's fleshed out, and it looks
I
won't go over it again. The listeners are going to hear this twice, but it's just I feel like the game's getting a lot more diverse, and even though the characters are really narrowing the vision for army choices, as soon as you get outside the box and remove those 1 or 2 super powerful plays, you see that you've got this like menagerie of stuff you could actually use.
Absolutely, there's extremely few trap units now in armies, and most things are usable, and a lot are good.
Well, I think the best example of this is going to be when Flying Hive Tyrants get nerfed. Need players look at the rest of their book and go, "Holy shit! There's actually nothing bad in this fucking book. Everything's good."
Absolutely,
it's just the fucking Hive Tyrants are so much better than everything else.
That's it.
Anyway, guys, thanks so much for being on.
Thanks for your time.
Good chat.
Yeah.
Hello, world. Hi, Mum. Can I say hi to my mum?
Yeah, say hi to your mum, guys.
Can I say hi to Mitch's mum?
Say hi to Mitch's mum, Pete.
Yeah. Hi, Mitch's mum.
Bam.
Again.
Fuck you, man.
Alright, we'll be back with the last couple of guys next up. Alright, here we are with the final 2. We've got Dan and Ray the Wrangler. How are you doing, guys?
Very well, thank you.
Very, very good.
So, how are you enjoying the APOC game so far? Oh, well, we've wrapped up, sorry.
We've wrapped up now.
How'd you enjoy it?
Good. It was good. I thought it was a different vibe, because last APOC we did was in 7th Ed. So seeing it, how it played out in 8th Ed, you get to, like, the first round, you see everything set up. First turn. Everything's set up on the board. It's exciting.
Yeah.
And then by probably end of turn 2, you've had enough.
Well, you played the turn 2. You're playing for like 7 hours straight.
Yeah.
So.
I think because in 7th you had the apocalyptic blasts, and in this you obviously don't get it, so you don't get the spread of devastation.
Yeah.
Well,
You're
yeah.
not taking off handfuls.
Well, one of the other boys mentioned before, they just thought it was something of pulling out their dinner plate, being like, bit of an event, you know? Here's my platter, motherfucker. I'm taking out that 24-inch fucking section there.
Exactly.
And it was amazing when you could do that.
It was exciting. It was cool.
It just, all it feels like now, like it doesn't have, in my opinion, it doesn't have the same flavour as it had in 7th. It just feels like a huge 40k game.
Yeah,
it does.
yeah.
It does. And it needs some bespoke rules in it, I
Yeah,
guess.
yeah.
Which is what APOC in 7th had. Had a whole rule book, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. So how long have you been in the hobby, Dan?
I started at the start of 7th ed.
Yep.
So it's been probably 3 years, 4 years.
Oh, at least, yeah, more like 4.
4 years probably
yeah.
now. Started off with the humble Dark Vengeance box set.
Yeah, you're a big Dark Ages player, weren't you?
Oh, well, that's what I had at the time. And then moved on to Elder, and then on to Tau at the end of 7th.
Yep.
And now, start of 8th, picked up started painting and developing a Imperial Fist army.
Yeah, it's mostly Primaris Marines, isn't it?
Yeah, so it's Primaris based list, yeah.
And it's gorgeously painted as well.
Thank you
really,
very
really
much,
well
mate.
painted.
Thank you.
Ray, what do you sorry, how long have you been in the hobby?
I have been, well, technically I started the hobby, it probably would have been when I was like 12 in 2nd edition or 3rd edition.
Shit, yeah.
Played a little bit, as I said, in 3rd, then kind of stopped a bit. Came back in 6th edition.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, played 6th edition, went on to 7th, now 8th. So yeah. So I guess on and off for probably like, I don't know, 15 years or whatever.
Yeah, awesome, man.
Now I'm on now 30, so probably longer.
And what armies you play?
I've got Necrons.
Yep.
I've got Alpha Legion.
Mm-hmm.
I have just started the Custodes army.
Yeah, man.
But then you've also played in the past with a bunch of other ones.
I've got Ultramarines. I've got a large Ultramarines force as well, and Grey Knights.
Yeah, as well. And you also had Death Guard.
And Death Guard as well, yeah.
The first army I collected when I got back into it in 6th was Death Guard. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. Ray, what's your favourite piece of fluff or your favourite character?
Favourite character for me is definitely Alfaris.
Yeah, man. Why? Tell us about him.
I just love he's mysterious. You never know what he's going to do. You don't know which side he's on. We don't even know if he's dead. So I just love the fluff.
He's such a unique character in the realms of the story. He stands apart, and he's got his own kind of like mystique about him. It's really interesting.
I love him.
Cool. Yeah. Dan, same question.
Yeah, like I was never big into the fluff. So when I started the hobby, it was more just because I love miniatures and painting them and playing the game and stuff. So it's only more recently I've started to slowly read up on more of the fluff and things like that, and start reading some of the novels. And through the start of the Horus Heresy set, I've got to say that Garrow was one that really stood out to me.
Second person.
Yeah.
Mitch said before, and he was like Garrow's, and I was like,
and like obviously, if I kept reading the books and read a lot more than say the first 3 or 4 that I have, I'm sure I'll develop a bit more of a opinion on someone else.
Garrow becomes one of the founders of the Grey Knights.
He does. He becomes Knights Errant.
One of the Knights Errant.
Yeah, and he just seems to be like an absolute badass. He could just take a beating and keep going.
Yeah, but what I said about him before, he's like he's a fucking demon of a bloke, but he's a good bloke. He's
caught up in the wrong crowd.
Yeah, absolutely. So Dan, what kind of gamer are you?
I'd say in 7th I was a little bit more. I don't know if I was a little bit more competitive or not, but like it was a different vibe. The tournaments were a different kind of setting then. I felt like more competitive gaming came into it in 8th in terms of the tournament scene and everything else.
Well, it got endorsed. Like GW finally endorsed the scene for what it is.
It was a lot. So it's a lot more of a different vibe between the editions. So now I'd say I'm more of more of a hobbyist.
Yeah.
I enjoy, taking my time now and painting armies properly. If I don't get to play with them for like a year, that's okay. As long as I feel like I've got put the effort into the army.
It's really noticeable. Like Dan and I used to do, and Ray as well, we used to do a lot of tournaments together in 7th edition.
Yeah.
And Dan stepped back from tournaments, and his painting has just fucking gone up like 3 or 4 levels. It's quite interesting.
Yeah.
So that same energy you put into like writing lists and studying every fucking book that came out, you put into like airbrushing techniques and weathering, and it really
Yeah,
shows.
it's a bit of a different perspective.
And that's cool. That's something cool about this hobby. If you want to take a step back from one aspect of it, you can chuck that same energy into another aspect and get the same satisfaction.
Get the points.
Don't get me wrong, like, I still enjoy tournaments, but I'm very selective with the ones I play. Yeah. They're more themey based, you know, it's not a kind of a whack tournament, so to speak, in terms of just bring whatever and just try and wipe your opponent. More tournaments that involve the paint scores, you know, the good sports, the more of a fluffy vibe.
You found your niche.
Yeah, that's what I enjoy,
Yeah, that's awesome. Right, same question.
Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't call myself a super competitive player. Like I said, I went to a lot of tournaments in 7th. I go to less tournaments now. And that's just, that's probably because I think the change in the tournament, there's been massive change in the tournament scene. But yeah, I'm very fluffy. I generally tend to write lists based more on characters that I like and fluff as opposed to competitiveness. But on the other side too, it's not as I don't like just playing complete whitewash games. So I like to play competitive lists, and I do like to play competitive games. And I still will go to tournaments and bring a competitive list. Yeah, but overall, I'd say I'm a bit more of a less competitive player.
Nice. Ray, what do you like and dislike about 8th edition? All the boys have been a bit.
Well, alright, well, I think 8th edition. Oh, how have I got? 8th edition, I think, dislikes. I think a lot of the flavour, a lot of the diversity of a lot of the armies has lackened a bit in 8th. So, you know, it's armies just getting the same special rules applied to multiple armies. Like hits or
it's very vanilla.
Like that.
When GW told us about everyone's going to get their own bespoke rules, it was all coming out of the same pile.
They're all called different things.
10 bespoke rules.
They're all called different things. So technically,
here's your always in cover. Here's your -1 to hit. Here's your reroll ones when you stand still shit.
And even things like, you know, when 7th, particularly good examples when the chaos. What was it called? You know, when they released the two additional supplements where every
at the end of 7th,
faction had their own individual rules. It was
what was it?
I can't remember.
I know the corn one was in with the Blood Angels. So the Blood Angels in the corn.
Yeah, I can't remember it. Can't remember the name.
And it had all the cult specific.
And it had Carnatran on the front of the cover, but. Yeah, so Death Guard, you could write up a whole Death Guard list.
Trader's Bane or something.
That's
Trader's Bane.
Hey, that's
Trader's
right.
Bane, yeah.
You could write a whole Death Guard list that was specifically, and you got about 5 or 6, maybe 7 special rules that were specific to Death Guard.
Yeah.
And you could build your list, really themed around Death Guard and benefit from from the perks that you got from that list. And in 8th, what do you get? You get 1 stratagem. And you get a Warlord trait, and you get 1 perk that kind of goes across your whole army.
Yeah, well, that's definitely true for the indexes. Yeah. When the Codex is adding a bit more to that, but even then, you look at Thousand Suns and what they've got, and then you look at what the fucking Nids and see what they've got, and they've got twice as many stratagems, twice as many unit choices, twice as many. Well, they've got you got T Suns, you got 1 chapter tactic,
exactly,
and.
Very nice, you know.
The problem is, the books cost the same amount of money.
Oh yeah, bleed you dry.
But yeah, so listen, I could go on all day about
So what's something you like?
I like it that I'm seeing a lot more different armies now.
That is good.
Different armies.
Yeah.
Armies that you would never see in 7th, I'm now seeing a lot of in 8th. Stuff like Blood Angels, Nids,
fuck yeah.
even Orcs, like seeing Orcs at tournaments we never used to. I like the stratagems. I think stratagems add a really nice flavour to the game. The only thing I don't like is I reckon it would be more flavoursome if more command points were available.
I tend to agree with you there. I think if they were to, but see, then you get this snowball effect. I'd love it if you had more command points available to you in army selection, but you remove all the way to generate more during the game.
Yeah,
just start with more, and then you've got more meat to plan into your army when you're building it.
Yeah.
You can build more stingies in at the start. You're going to be able to do this. You're going to be able to. You know you can pull off that play. Yeah. or you can afford to fucking double attack with a unit once.
Yeah.
Because then you're like, I can double attack, but I do nothing else rest of the game. So,
Exactly. And particularly with a lot of the elite armies like Grey Knights and Custodes, they got some freaking awesome stratagems, and a lot of the time they're limited by the way their army construction is. Yeah. Particularly with Grey Knights, you end up with 4 command points and absolute max 6.
Yeah, and then you still only got like fucking 10 units on the board.
Yeah.
So, Dan, same question. What do you like, dislike about 8th edition?
I'll start with what I like. I think that I like the fact that they did cut down on the whole universal special rules. It was getting a bit ridiculous towards the end. Even going to tournaments and like you're seeing all these different armies, which you never, if your mates don't play them, then you just never got to play them.
Yeah.
So it's you didn't have access to those codexes as well. So you'd be there trying to figure out what exactly was going on. So I do enjoy the fact that they've been obviously wiped essentially. I like the idea of stratagems and command points and having these little things that can kind of spice up your army in different ways. But in terms of my dislikes, I was mentioning this before to the guys as well, that you see in 7th, what made it so exciting was if you pulled off a big play, it was a big play. Because
risk versus reward.
That's exactly right. So there's no maximum risk for maximum reward in 8th edition.
Which Deep Strike's a perfect example.
That's exactly what I was going to be talking about. Because like Deep Striking, for example, if you've got a sneaky triple crisis team Deep Striking with all fusion, if you hit the right spot, something's going to die.
Exactly.
In 8th, you just got to plan it out, which can be so easily countered now because you've got a 9-inch bubble.
Yeah.
So those elements of maximum risk, max reward, that's what I miss out of 7.
The max risk is still there, but you've mitigated most of the big variables.
Yeah.
Mostly it's just the max risk is, do I make the charge?
And do I make the charge?
Yeah.
Do I hit and on my D6 damage? Am I going to roll a 1 or a 6? They're your risks.
The thing is, you look at the max risk armies. The things like your Death Company bombs and your Bloodbath bombs and stuff like that. If they connect, they're going to fuck up just anything in the game they touch. And so the only real risk is, do I make the 9 on the 3D? The 3D6?
Exactly. Yeah.
Like so, really, the rest of it is fucking negligible.
Yeah.
Whereas in you try to drop those 3 crisis suits. Do I scatter? Which direction do I scatter? Do I scatter out of range? Do I scatter off the board?
Do I go on someone?
Do I go on someone? Yeah. And if I do I go back into reserves and I'm going to replot my whole fucking thing back from the start? Or do I roll a 1 and they're fucking dead? Can I replace it?
Yeah.
So many things just from that one decision.
But if I hit, I'm going to get in there and I'm going to melter that.
Well, yeah, because that one melter. Well, what if you put So you could do triple crisis, three.
For example, let's say example
3 crisis suits with 3 melters each. Yeah, dropping down against a knight. They don't kill that knight. No, even if they're perfect placement, they've got a 9-inch bubble. Those 3 crisis suits do not kill that knight.
No.
Yeah. But in last edition, they had a good chance. Especially if you baited out that ion shooting facing the wrong way. You got that guy fucked.
Yeah, absolutely.
All it took is just one wrong
face and popped him.
Can I just say one other thing, and I'm sure everyone will agree with me here too. The variable damage and the variable shots. It's just unbelievable.
We're going to retread old topics here because I think one of the other boys in the other group was just I'm just fucking done with rolling a 1 on my last cannon damage. Please make it like
you're a Vindicator.
Oh, dude, Vindicators are already so shit.
Like Incinerator and a Grey Knight's 40 points for 12-inch flame that you can roll a 1 on. I mean, please.
I wish they would either, if they're going to put 2. I say this all the fucking time, and I've said it already this episode. If you're going to have something with 2 variable, like a variable amount of shots and variable amount of damage, switch them around. Don't make it 2 D6 shots and D3 damage. Make it like 2 D3 shots.
Yes.
And D6 damage instead, rather than having 1 shot and then you're rolling D3s for the damage. So 1 D6. It hurts your heart to play it.
But it's also, even thinking about it thematically, how does that even work? How does that make sense? If I pull this trigger, how do I have a random amount of shots come out?
I'm pretty sure like that's a pretty poor weapon in the 41st millennium.
You want shit to be working by then.
That's like plasma level unreliable.
And it's not so you can use the argument, well, like rolling a 1 or a 2 on your las cannon is like a glancing hit, and they're just glances. But the difference is you're going against vehicles that have like 14 wounds, and you roll a 1 wound means nothing.
Yeah.
In
7th,
if you glanced it, you got 3 hull points. One hull point off it is still good. You know what I mean?
Well, Land Raiders had 4 back in.
Land Raiders had 4 hull points.
Yeah.
So how shit? Oh man, but you say that though.
They were crap. Yeah.
But then you're playing a Mauler Fiend, and some dirty dog with a fucking crack grenade immobilizes your top of your and you're like, fuck me.
But once again, like even max risk, max reward. Do I move this Land Raider through this building, or will I immobilize myself?
You know what I mean? Thank fuck that's not there.
Like,
thank fuck that's gone. That's, oh man.
Yeah.
Breaks my heart. Is there anything you guys want to talk about? Anything you guys want to bring up? We've been joined by Mitch, by the way. He just kind of snuck in.
I'm not here. I'm stealth.
He's stealth Mitch.
Infiltrator.
Yeah. He's Alfaris. Any topics you guys want to talk about?
No, I think it'll be interesting in the next 12 months, particularly with the new FAQs coming out, how GW reacts to.
They're very reactive at the moment.
Yeah, they're very reactive, but there was a couple of things on Facebook coming the other day saying about the meta. GW reacted to the American meta when the European meta's kind of already
a month ahead of it.
Already
a month ahead of it, man.
Yeah, and I mean, are they, and like things like the generic nerfs, like the Smite beta rules and things like that, are affecting armies that rely heavily on it, like Grey Knights and even Thousand Suns.
That's true.
That's what they do.
True. Yep.
And when you've got an elite army that relies on those smites and things like that, it can really kind of hinder them. So.
Well, that's another thing. Like we talk about this being a horde hammer, where just about every section of the game you look into, it tells you that taking more bodies is better than taking tougher bodies.
It's become a very one-dimensional game.
Well, so there's a lot of things that it's starting to swing back the other way, but it's going very slowly back the other way, and it's gone so far towards the horde side of things.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, why would you ever take 5 TAC Marines if you could take 10 infantry for a guardsman? They're better in every way. They take stratagems better. They take cover better. They are less fearless. You give them fearless. There's more obsec bodies. You put them on an objective to hold that objective.
Probably not being cheaper as well.
Then they are cheaper.
Yeah.
And when they've got 2 shots each, or ordering to have 4 shots each, they do more fucking damage too somehow.
Yeah.
So everything is just telling you to take more dudes. Now, like I said, it is starting to swing back the other way. Stuff like the Custodes book is a big indication of where they want it to go, where the Custodes have the super obsec that overrides the other ones.
Custodes, I've only played a couple of games of them, and I think they're actually very good.
Well, I'm actually really happy there's guys, so Adepticon just happened a couple of weeks ago, and a guy called Jeff Robinson took Custodes and got to the top 16, and he had like 400, 500 points of guard and 15, 1600 points of Custodes. Yeah. That's what we need. We need somebody, a baller-ass player, to go and take an elite army and go crush face. Yeah. So people start switching back to the other side.
And it's interesting how one person doing well at an event and how that snowball effect.
Well, it inspires others. It says, "Hey, this is," because people get downtrodden very quickly.
Yeah.
In the meta.
In eighth.
Especially.
It's so easy to just lose your morale in eighth after one turn.
Yeah. Well, when you place one of those fucking Poxwalker farms, you just like. Sigh. I could be at home like watching paint dry and yeah. But anyway, guys, thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
I'm sure we could rant and rave for many hours, but this episode's already at an hour and 10 minutes.
Shit.
Yeah.
So, that's going to be a good one. So yeah, thanks guys. Hope you guys have a great weekend, and maybe we'll be doing another episode of this same time next year.
Definitely.
Another year into the game. Cheers.
Beautiful. Thanks, mate.
Thank you.
Bye. All right, and we are back in the Gaming Against the Grain lair, dungeon, whatever you want to call it. So that was my weekend with the guys. Away down the coast, hanging out, talking crap, eating shit. It was fantastic. And I really wanted you guys to get to know the guys in our group and to get to know the guys that inspire me, the guys I talk to about hobby every single day. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it. And to round out this episode, I've got one listener question that it's actually been put to me about 3 or 4 times now. And it's, what do I think of the last 3 codexes? That being the Tau Codex, Necron Codex, and the Drukhari or Dark Eldar Codex. Now, I'm actually pretty excited about all 3 of these. I think they're quite well constructed, and I think they pretty much ramp up in power in that order. Tau, Necron, Drukhari. I'm not saying any of these are bad, but there's a definite notable power increase across the 3. I think Tau is good. I think Tau are actually really quite well rounded. They're held back and they're held down by that 4+ ballistic skill across the board, and naturally, with all the negative to hit modifiers out there, that becomes quite a hindrance later down the track if you start getting into more competitive games. But on the whole, I think they've got a lot of stuff to work with. Now, a lot of people are focusing on the Tau and Borkan steps, so the Tau coordinated fire arcs being you can overwatch on a 5 and a 6 instead of just a 6, which is fucking strong as shit in a gunline army, which is what Tau is pretty much built to do. And the Borkan one, which is superior craftsmanship, all rapid and heavy fire weapons shoot an extra 6 inches on their range. And you can stack that with drones and all sorts of other stuff. So those two are easily the strongest, but there's two that I want to point out to you guys that have caught my attention. That being the Viola, which is if this unit advances, its rapid fire weapons become assault, and it does not suffer the penalty for advancing and shooting assault weapons. Now, what that's amazing is that a lot of the time you have to pay for that. That's essentially giving a free support system to your battlesuits, your Riptides, your Crisis teams, your Ghost Kills and stuff. Because usually they'd have to pay, I can't remember what it's called, but it's usually 5, 10 or 15 points, I believe, to give your battlesuit that upgrade, where they can advance and shoot without penalty. So you're pretty much getting that upgrade for free. So if you built a suit army across the board, and took that across the board, you're saving points. And on top of that, the Viola have an amazing, properly fucking incredible self-specific stratagem, which is the hot-blooded, which means an infantry unit can shoot twice if they target the closest unit. And with some rapid fire weapons that you now get to advance and shoot without penalty, that becomes kind of crazy. when you put breaches in that, and you put breaches in a devilfish, and you can move and advance those breaches out of a devilfish now without penalty, and get them into that better and that incredible strength 6 neg 2 1 damage range, and then you double shoot them. You could put down tanks with that. You can put pain on a Primarch with that. It's actually fucking good. And the other one I want to point out to you guys is the Sakia. A +1 leadership, and you can reroll a single failed hit for a Sakia unit. Now, a lot of people look at that and go, oh yeah, railguns are good. No, unfortunately, railguns are still kind of crap, because if you look what a railgun's meant to do, it's a one-shot anti-tank weapon. So what does that tell you? So every tank, every transport has over 10 wounds, and you've got a one-shot gun that at best can do 6 damage. So your I don't know how much they cost, probably around 150 to 170 points. Your one-shot anti-tank gun can't kill a tank. Your anti-tank tank can't kill a tank by itself. You need a minimum of 2, if not probably 3, to kill one rhino. I'm sorry, that's not good. Unfortunately, that's not good. But where that is good is when you are trying to get a good amount of marker lights in units. So if you take a min unit of strikes with 1 marker light on the sergeant dude, and you've got a reroll into hit marker light now. Now, if you spread that out of a battalion, so you've got 3 of those. You've got 3 rerolling to hit marker lights. That's not shit on small units you can hide that are obsec. That's actually kind of cool. Now, I wouldn't say that that's a stratagem you could build into an entire army, but if you wanted to slot one of those into another force just to have that reliability, I think that could be legit. So those are just some thoughts on Tau. I think the big winners there are Riptides. Of course, Riptides were one of the most maligned and probably the most shit-canned units in the game, crossing over to this edition from being absolutely off their tits bonkers in last edition. But now they're probably worth it. They're actually probably really legit, especially with the stratagem, unless you use 2 of the overcharged profiles, so you can have the 18 shots on your burst cannon plus the 3-up invulnerable save. That's fucking good. On top of that, a lot of this stuff buffs the Forge World stuff like the Yavara and the Yavanna. And further to that, I think Ghost Kills and Stealth Suits are crazy. In fact, I think Stealth Suits are actually amazing now, for a lot of reasons. Like if you were to take a max unit of Stealth Suits that are Viola, so they get to jump around, move and advance from cover to cover with no penalties, and shooting twice with all those burst cannons that are -1, because of course you'll give them the advanced targeting. That's crazy good. That's crazy good on something that's really hard to hit. It's -1 to hit. It's going to have a 2-up armor and cover. It's moving very fast, and it's putting down a shitload of firepower. I think that's crazy good. Alright, so I'll wrap that up for Tau, and we will move on to Necrons. Now, a lot has been said about Necrons, a lot of positives, a lot of negatives. The negatives coming from the fact that it's still going to be a pretty ultra elite army. You're not going to have a lot of stuff on the board, and I actually think that's probably the right way to go, considering about how much power they've given individual units now. Like, I mean, everyone was immediately drawn to the Mephrit Dynasty code, which was Solar Fury, an additional -1 AP when you're in half of your weapon's maximum range. Now, you're already -1 on all your stuff, and you have quite a few ways to deploy close up to people, like the Deceiver, like Vargard and Zandrek working together. So if you got a unit of 20 warriors and you drop 2 of those in 12 inches away with the Deceiver, they've got 40 shots each at strength 4 -2. You will shred the shit out of a lot of stuff. I actually really like that with Tesla weapons. Giving Tesla an AP makes Tesla a lot more appealing and quite sexy. I already really like Tesla. It was always I always liked it as the fluffy, flavorful choice rather than the Gorse, which is obviously the very powerful choice. But now Tesla looks a lot more appealing as well. Now, further to that, there's a lot of other good ones in there, like a lot of very good ones. And to be honest, there's only really one bad one, and that's probably the Nihilak, which is units that don't mill, disembark, and reroll once to hit when shooting, even in Overwatch. Why that's kind of crap is because a lot of your weapons are close range. Usually your best range is 24 or under. So if you're not moving turn 1, 2, 3, you're not getting any use out of this. So you're probably only getting use out of that turns 3, 4, 5 when you've moved past the halfway point of the board. Unless you're playing into super aggressive army, in which case you can sit still. What I do really like, I like the Nefrek, which is you always advance 6 and you pass through other models and terrain. That's actually really cool. So that turns what usually is a pretty stale, monotonous, plodding army into something that's quite fucking fast and that can't be slowed down. So let's say you have a big unit, a max unit of Wraiths, and someone has a bunch of lines of conscripts or some other cheap, like Termagants, Hormagants, some other cheap chaff units that are bubble wrapping like Biovores or Hive Guard or whatever. You move and you advance those Wraiths right through all those lines and put them 1 inch away, and then you are demanding to your opponent that they have 1 turn to wipe those Wraiths before they charge up and tie whatever the shit they want. So I think that's really cool and a lot of fun. The other one I like is which one is it? Sortek. You get no penalties when firing with heavy weapons after moving. And if you advance, every shooting weapon is considered an assault weapon for that turn. That's cool for the same reasons the last one I mentioned with Viola was cool. That just lets you be dynamic, lets you move around the board, lets you advance with your slow, plodding army and still get a lot of good mileage out of them. So the thing to remember about this is it works on every type of gun. So Doomsday Arcs, fucking Monoliths, I don't think cared anyway. But all this shit, all your heavy weapons, everything, nothing cares. Move and advance at all. Like your heavy destroyers, move and advance your heavy destroyers, and you're still shooting them as if they're assault. That's crazy cool. And so that just adds a lot of flavor to stuff. Some of the big winners for me is Immortals. So with Tesla being able to get -1, I see Immortals getting a lot more play. Destroyers are probably the biggest winner. Their guns going to a lot more shots, with much better damage and much better rend. Plus, with their one CP stratagem to reroll to hit and reroll to wound, they get fucking ridiculous. I think that is really powerful and really, really, really good. So yeah, I think if I was going to talk about the stuff I love the most about Necrons, is the Catan shards. I love those dudes, and they've been trash since I think 5th edition. Because 6th edition, they turned them into Catan shards. They used to just actually be the Catan, and when you had like the Nightbringer on the table, he was this unkillable, unstoppable machine because he was actually a fucking star god. So it was, really, really scary. But then they got kind of crap, and they've been crap for ages. And I'm not sure they're good yet, but they're getting better. So that's always a plus. All right, and moving on to the last one, which is Drukhari or Dark Eldar, whichever one you want to call it. Now, I could do like 2 whole episodes on this book. I think this is the best constructed book GW has done for this edition, and probably the most exciting book that they've done since the 4th edition Chaos book. There is so much to do with this. You could play with this book for a couple of years and not get bored. There is so much going on here. So if you guys don't know, it's kind of 3 codexes in one. So when you look at like the Thousand Suns Codex, and you see, you've got your what would be about 9 or 10 different options for units. You've got your 6 warlord traits. You've got your handful of stratagems, generic stratagems from Chaos Space Marines. Then you've got a handful from for Thousand Suns Pacific. Got a couple of relics in there, etc., etc. Now, this codex essentially has 3 Thousand Suns codexes in one. So each one has their 7 or 8 unit choices. Each one has a whole list of warlord traits, plus specific warlord traits, plus specific relics, plus generic relics, plus specific stratagems and generic stratagems. It's actually mental how much there is going on here. And each they've all got these power from pain, which adds flavor, which adds excitement. The witch cults have combat drugs, which adds more flavor, more excitement. I mean, you can play a unit differently every game if you want to. On top of that, the stuff they've got is really good. Like the Cabal of the Black Heart has the game-changing stratagem. 3 CP to turn off somebody else's stratagem. Oh, you're playing a Poxwalker farm. So your whole theory about your army being good is based on the fact that I can't shoot your Poxwalkers. Well, fuck you, buddy. I'm going to turn that off, and your army doesn't work anymore. Like, it's just literally I pay 3 CP, and I completely turn your army off. That's insane. It's so good. On top of that, they get +1 to the power from pain table, and if you don't have power from pain, you get a 6+ feel no pain. So it's phenomenal. That is phenomenal. That is a game changer in every way. But the one I want to talk about more out of the Cabals is the Cabal of the Flayed Skull. Now, this is crazy because it has essentially is about 3 buffs in here. 3 buffs that would be good for any other. Like if I was to give a chapter tactic, each one of these 3 buffs could be a chapter tactic by itself, but instead it gets all 3. You get +3 movement to all units with fly, ignores cover when a unit with fly is shooting at something, and if you have stuff that it's embarked on something that can fly, they reroll 1s to hit on rapid fire weapons. So when you're shooting out of it with your Cabalites, with splinter rifles, they get reroll 1s to hit. Plus they ignore cover. Plus there's +3 to the movement. Each one of those broken down could be a chapter tactic for salamanders, and it gets all 3. Now, where that would get insane is if you spam the crap out of raiders and venoms. And so you got +3 movement on something that's already incredibly fast. Ignores cover, which is great because all your weapons are poisoned, they don't have any rend, so all of a sudden you technically have rend 1 against stuff in cover. And then you get the real 1s to hit as well. It's mental how much stuff you can do with that, like how much that buffs you. So Cabal of the Blackheart is insane just because the access to that stratagem makes your army phenomenally counter meta. But the Flayed Skull is the one that excites me more because it just gets so much for free. It's fantastic. Now, on the witch cult side of things, these are all good. There's no shit one here, which is a kind of annoying coming from like the Grey Knight Codex and the Space Marine Codex, where half of them are trash, like Iron Hands. But so the first one, +1 strength. That's it. And you only ever lose 1 guy from morale test. So +1 strength and an army-wide commissar buff from like pre-FAQ. So getting your witches and your hellions, your hellions are being strength 4 going to strength 5, is phenomenal. And strength 4 base on witches and having near immunity to morale tests. Crazy good. Crazy good. Now the next one is +1 attack. Can't go wrong. When charging, charged, or heroically intervened. That means 4 attacks base on a standard witch. Before combat drugs, you can just these dudes are semi-shitter gene stealers, but they have a better invulnerable save in combat. So it kind of evens out. They don't have the rend that gene stealers have, and especially the super rend on 6s, but whereas gene stealers have a 5-up invulnerable save, these guys have a 4-up invulnerable save in combat. So I think that evens them out. Plus I think these guys are significantly cheaper, only 6 or 7 points each, so crazy. And then the last one, which is the one I like the best, is Cult of the Red Grief, and that's you can advance and charge, plus reroll failed charges. So just advance and charge is enough. Is already crazy. but getting the whole Black Templar buff as well as being able to advance and charge. Now I feel screwed over. Black Templars, I get to reroll my charges. These guys get to advance charge and reroll charges. Well, fuck me if I didn't get screwed. So where this gets crazy is the absolute ability to get turn 1 charges pretty reliably. You think about a max unit of Reavers. I think you can take 8 or 9 in a unit, and they already move, I think, 16 inches, and they auto advance 8 inches, I believe. Now, if you take one of the one of the combat drugs, which is +2 to your movement, all of a sudden they're moving 26 inches, and you can pay command points to double the effect of their combat drugs. They're going to move 28 inches, and then they can charge with a reroll. If you deploy them on the front line of a Dawn of War, you are in your deployment zone before you declare the charge. That's insanity. That is phenomenally good. And then you can charge like 5 or 6 things. You've got a big unit of 9 guys with decent sized bases. You can charge 5 or 6 different guys. That's phenomenally good. The next one would be deep striking a mass unit of witches, and they're just having a 9 with a reroll. And because the witches have the crazy thing where you have to roll off against them to see if you can fall back, and then the Shard Net and Impaler, which is an upgrade, you can take 3 of them in the unit. And if they're within 1 inch of an enemy unit and they want to fall back, they have to roll a D3 versus your D6 to fall back. And that's if you don't get enough movement to surround models and lock them in and pin them. So all those are good. That's all good stuff. Now, the Homunculus Coven ones, there's one that obviously stands out, and it's so much better than the rest that I'm only going to really mention the others slowly. I'll mention them first. -1 leadership. Fair enough. Whatever. Is one of them. That's a Dark Creed. And then there's the Coven of 12. All melee weapons have 1 better AP, which would be in crazy good. And you would think, oh, that's amazing because that's the Mefrit bonus, but you get it all the time. Except it's melee weapons, which kind of sucks. Still very good, but that does knock it back a little bit. But then you look at Prophets of Flesh, and you go, holy crap. Invulnerable saves are increased to 4+. So you get a 4+ invulnerable save across the board on your everybody in Homunculus Coven's army gets a 4+ invulnerable save. That's phenomenally insane. Now, I'm going to point out one of the things that struck me as soon as I thought of this, and that people have already talked about it, is Talos Pain Engines, and people get drawn in by the Talos Pain Engines and stuff like that. Because you can take them to toughness 7 with having a homunculus next to them, and with a 4-up invulnerable save, they become extremely hard to shift. But the one that drew me in was Grotesques. Now, Grotesques are cheap as fuck for what you get. They're only 35 points when you add in their weapons as well. And they are strength 5, toughness 5, 4 attacks, wounds 4. Now, I think I might have mentioned this another time, but the jump from the efficacy from the difference in efficacy from 3 wounds to 4 wounds is phenomenal. Is phenomenally good. You think about Dark Reapers, yeah? Usually a Dark Reaper shoots at something with 3 wounds, 1 goes through, it kills a dude. You need 2 Dark Reaper shots to kill 1 Grotesque, and that Grotesque has a 4-up invulnerable save on both of those, so they're going to stop half of them. So you shoot 10 Dark Reaper shots, you're hitting on 3s, let's say you don't have reroll, so you hit with about, let's go 8, and then you're wounding on 3s because they're toughness 5 versus strength 8, so let's say would be generous, let's say you get 6 wounds. You don't kill 2 Grotesques. They save half of those. 3 go through and you kill 1 Grotesque. You've killed 35 points with your 10 Dark Reapers. You've done literally fuck all. And so it's phenomenal. The jump from 3 wounds to 4 wounds is incredibly good, incredibly strong. Now, when those guys get a 4-up invulnerable save, they get properly insane. Then there's a guy called Urian Rakarth now, and I'll go into why he's bonkers in a minute. But he gives +1 toughness, as all homunculuses do, to stuff within 6 inches. So all of a sudden, those Grotesques go to toughness 6, which is a big jump because the most spammable and best weapon profile, as I've described, is strength 5 shots. So you're winning those guys on 5s. And then the next one is he gives +1 strength as well. So now there's strength 6, toughness 6, 4 attacks each, 5 if they're using their cleaver is +1 attack. So they've got 5 attacks each. 4 wounds each, 4-up invulnerable save. Deep strike these fuckers in. Scare the crap out of people. Make them shoot them. Because they're not good to shoot at. They're a poor profile to shoot against. You give them -1 to hit from one of the stratagems, and they're even worse to shoot against. And I think these guys are crazy. So our max unit, I think is 9. Yeah, because you can take single model ones. You can take a unit of 1, or you can take a unit of 9. But if you think about it like this, you're paying 35 points for that guy, and he's got just base strength 5, toughness 5, 4 wounds, 4 attacks. You look at the Space Marine Captain, who is, I think, starting at 60 or 70 points, strength 4, toughness 4, wounds 4, 4 attacks, and is twice as many points. That's pretty interesting, especially when that guy's a 4+ invulnerable save, and the Iron Halo from that commander gives him a 4+ invulnerable save. So pretty comparable when you think about it. Okay, so I just want to point Urian Rakarth out for a second. He is 90 points versus a normal homunculus is 70 points, so 20 points. What do you get for that? A lot is the answer. A shitload is the answer. They both give the +1 toughness. They're both, half decent to shitty in combat, which is no problems. They're supposed to be butchers. But Urian Rakarth comes with toughness 5, and he'll buff himself to toughness 6. He has 1 less attack than usual, but he halves all incoming damage, and also gives the +1 toughness, +1 strength and +1 leadership aura on top of the +1 toughness. All this for 20 points more than a regular one. That's insane, guys. That's crazily insane. And on top of that, he has a 4+ invulnerable base as well. So he's 100% worth it. If you're going anywhere near Homunculus Covens, Prophets of Flesh, Urian Rakarth, Talos, or Grotesques, whatever your flavor is, they're both phenomenal. Now, I've heard a lot of people talk about how the Cabal is probably the weakest of the 3 sub-factions. And I kind of agree, I kind of disagree. I think their flyers are the best things in there. Their flyers for the Cabals are actually crazy. And the same goes for Ravagers. Triple Disintegrator Ravagers for, I think, 125-ish points is crazy good. Very, very good. And if you're interested in those, look into them. Nothing wrong with the Dark Lancers. If you build them like that, if you have them like that, Dark Lancers are still great. But for an all-round gunship, I think that Disintegrator Ravager just got infinitely better. So yeah, there are some thoughts. Like I said, I could actually properly talk for hours about this book. I think GW have hit it out of the park with how much flavour they've added in there. And I think if this is a sign of things to come for the rest of the factions, everyone should be pretty excited. Because this is one of the best books I've ever opened. And I would love to be a Dark Eldar player right now, because there is so much to sink my teeth into. But like I said, I could talk for ages on this. I'm going to wrap this up, guys. Hope you enjoyed listening to me and my mates talk some shit. Hope you enjoyed getting to know the team a bit better and the group. Like, I really wanted to introduce you guys to them, because I believe the strength of our group is that we kind of cover the spectrum of this hobby. We've got people who are like phenomenal commission painters and who are so invested in the hobby and the modeling, and that excites them. And we've got guys who, a bit of everything, like Dan and Ray. They respect the competitive side and they enjoy it, but they're modelers, they're painters, they do everything. And then we've got guys like me and Russ who are really competitive, and like we enjoy pushing the limits of what you can do with an army, what you can do with a list. And when you put us all together, I think we're something quite special. So I really wanted to introduce you to the guys that inspire me and keep me going. And I hope everyone out there has got a great group of mates as well to have their back and just talk shit with and enjoy. Now, last episode, I talked a little bit about the ways to keep yourself informed. I'm just going to tack this on at the end, because there's one there's one podcast that I omitted, and this is one that's really special to me. And I omitted him on purpose because I think he deserves his own section. This is a guy called Adam Abramowitz, and he has created a podcast called The Best General Podcast. Now, what he's done is he has documented his journey to try and win a grand tournament. Now, he describes himself as a mediocre gamer, and I'm not going to say yeah or no. I've never played the guy, I've never met him in person, but I've talked to this guy online, and I reached out to him when he first started his first couple of episodes, because he inspired me a shitload to do this podcast. And this was an idea that I'd been toying with for like months and months, about putting myself out there and doing this. And I didn't. I was dragging my feet and just kind of languishing around. And listening to this guy's podcast really like lit a fire under me, and thought, fuck, this guy's on the right track. He's doing something special. And I thought it was time for me to stick my head out. So, and even before I started listening to this guy, I'd written down my podcast concept and what I wanted this to be about and all this stuff. But yeah, he's gone out and he's decided he's going to travel around and try and, better himself through 40K. And that's something I'm trying to do too. And so much props to that guy. Go check him out. Give him a like. Sign up to his Patreon if you're interested in that, because he's a top dude and he's doing some really good works. So thanks for listening, guys. Check out that podcast. Great content. And I hope you enjoyed this episode. So thanks again for listening, guys, and take care. Bye.